HO Talk Show. Not that anyone trumps another, but when it comes to the popular conversation right now in the Charlottesville area community, those who follow University of Virginia, those who take part in the news statewide, really, Virginia. Those know that we are the home of the state university, the University of Virginia. And so there's a lot of connection. There's a lot of political connections there, Max, for those that don't know, in regards to when the state government mandates certain rules, your state university is supposed to follow. And so that's that connector. A lot of people don't know. A lot of people look at maybe CEOs, they look at presidents of universities and departments, not realizing that we have what's called a board of visitors. And the board of visitors hold a lot of weight, heavy weight when it comes to how our medical center is ran and who's hired for that leadership. Also for the academic side, on the school side, the university, the board of visitors is a board that is state appointed. But I'm sitting here talking like I'm the expert. I ain't the expert. We got the expert in here with us right now. That is none other than a gentleman that I've grown fond of. Definitely love being in his presence, love the conversations that we have. And when I saw the Cavalier Daily report, Gregory Perryman steps into Board of Visitors role with student voices in mind, I had to reach out. I was like, number one, he didn't tell me. Why did I have to find out through the Cavalier Daily? That's number one. but number two, I was just ecstatic. I was very proud watching him and a lot of the young, brilliant minds that we have here in Charlottesville right now. And through some of the community work that I'm a part of, trying to retain them. We don't want them to get too far because we need these brilliant minds doing work here as students as well as as they go into their career paths. But he is the incoming student member and plans to strengthen ties between students and the board while advancing student self-governance. So that's awesome, Gregory. Congrats and good afternoon.
Yeah, thank you so much for having me on the show. You know I love you. I'm so thankful that you are one of the amazing people I've had the privilege to meet here in Charlottesville.
Appreciate it.
And really have introduced me to this community that I have just a deep fondness for. So thank you for having me on.
Yes, indeed, man. Thank you for obliging. And it's big news.
I'm over here.
And it's nice to meet you as well.
And I'm right here too. No.
It is very nice to meet you as well. No, but it's really great to be with both of you.
Yeah.
And the listeners out there. So thank you so much for having me.
Yes, indeed, man. And so this is a pretty big deal, and so first, let the folks know what exactly this means. Like, what exactly does it mean to be the student member of the Board of Visitors, University of Virginia?
Yeah. So one of my favorite things is, even for the students, a lot of people don't know what is the Board of Visitors.
Yeah.
How it works. Who is the Board of Visitors? It can kind of seem scary. Okay. But the Board of Visitors is the governing body of the University of Virginia, and it's composed of 17 visitors who are state appointed and confirmed. And then there's a faculty rep and a student representative who are non-voting. And essentially, this is the board that meets just like a board of directors for a nonprofit or a company. And they work with the CEO or the executive director, which will be the president of the university, to set the long-term vision. And so the student role is really focused on making sure that students are in on those conversations and helping shape the direction of the university, and really making sure you're centering the student experience as a part of that. So it's really an honor and a privilege to serve in that position and just have the chance to bring that student voice to all the amazing conversations that the Board of Visitors is having. So I feel very honored and privileged.
And what was the selection process? Were you nominated? How did that work?
Yeah, so the selection process is pretty extensive. You can imagine we have a lot of amazing student leaders at UVA. Yeah. And part of my job is having the opportunity to work with those students and not just the board.
Okay.
And so basically, I submitted an application, like for like a normal job application, but then I got to do several rounds of interviews, including with fellow students and the Board of Visitors. And I always look at an interview as a conversation. So we just got to have several conversations about the present and the future of our university. And I got to share a little bit of how I helped to contribute as the student member. So it was, to me, it was fun. I know it can be nerve-wracking. To me, it was fun, but I feel really honored that not just the board, but my fellow students have placed such a trust in me to represent all student voices. There's only one student who gets to sit as a member of the Board of Visitors, and you have the responsibility to 26,000 plus students. It's a big job.
Yeah.
And they had the belief in me that I could step up. So I'm gonna step up to the plate. That's the goal.
All right.
Yeah, I'm sure they count on you.
Yeah.
Now, but with that selection process though, is it like a hiring committee or is it a majority vote of the Board of Visitors to make the final say?
Yeah, so the board actually, I'll meet and I got to interview with kind of some of the board members, including the rector, the vice rector, and members of the executive committee. They got to meet a few students, they said, and then they got to go have a discussion with the whole board about it. And the whole board actually elects the student member and the faculty rep. And so, this is something that says, the whole board says, this is somebody we want to welcome as not just a student, but a full member of this board. And you really get to work as colleagues. That's what I'm like looking most forward to.
That's deep. That's deep. And so this, as you said, like this is a huge undertaking, right? It's going to be a lot of responsibility, because you're coming at a time, arguably, it may be unprecedented. I may be wrong. Like you probably know the university history better than me, but just what we're facing in the political climate right now, and how like so many major legislative changes are happening that's like impacting, like the student community as well as the healthcare, right? The changes being made right now. What do you feel prepares you? Like, why you, right?
No, that's a great question. So, yeah, we definitely are in among, I would say, the most politically polarized time in our country, and we've seen that kind of same kind of division on college campuses, and UVA is no exception. But really, what led me to this role was I'm from Cleveland, Ohio. I didn't even know UVA existed until probably my freshman year of high school. I had a teacher who was a UVA alum, my history teacher. And he's like, oh, there's this place, you should check it out. I'm like, okay, whatever. I kind of brushed it off. Come 2 years later, when I start to look at schools, I'm like, what is this UVA place? I'm talking to alumni, I'm talking to current students, and they just seem to love UVA. And I'm like, what is this? Why is this? And I've been asking that question for the past 3 years as a student at UVA. And what I've found is that it's the amazing connection that we have. Student to student, student to faculty, or the student and administrators and students in the Charlottesville community. It's those connections that make those strong bonds and create a fondness for this place. And so really, I said, I have been given so much by the amazing connections and the just awe-inspiring people I've been able to meet here. How can I give back? And that's by strengthening those connections. That's by really strengthening our community. And to me, that definitely includes the Charlottesville community. That's a bond that I have so much appreciation for. So that's what kind of led me to say, I'm interested in this role, but I had the opportunity to do board service over the past 2 years at the University of Virginia Investment Management Company, which is the endowments management company. It's an independent entity that manages the University of Virginia's endowment. I got to sit on an advisory board there. I got to learn how the boards work. How do you work with a lot of different stakeholders to move, in that case, the endowment forward? And now it will be the whole University of Virginia and surrounding Charlottesville community as a student member of the Board of Visitors. So it was that combination of those questions, of that passion and that love for the amazing connections that we have, and also that previous experience that I feel like is that perfect mix that has gotten me ready for this unprecedented, I like that word, unprecedented moment. And we can really find our way through together. That's what I believe, if we focus on those connections and not on the division.
Yeah, very well said.
Well, I'll just say that I'm glad to hear what you shared about the connections between the student body, because from the outside looking in, I do wonder, and I have to say that you are the first student that I've heard speak about the university in that way, and some of them right here on the show, because I wonder from the outside looking in, are students of color, Black students, able to go into this university and maintain their individuality, their autonomy, or things just kind of whitewashed in their uh, cores, in a manner of speaking, to assimilate. Um, and so I am glad to hear that it is much more connection there than I guess I had assumed on my own.
Oh yeah, absolutely. And I think the thing that really connects us, and the reason why I decided to come to University of Virginia, was the values that underlie the university, whether that be integrity, whether that be freedom, whether that be, community and connection. It's those values that really like fuel and unite us. And it doesn't mean that we don't make mistakes. I'm speaking for myself, not for the board, not for the university. It doesn't mean we don't make mistakes as individuals, as students, but like at the end of the day, like those values really are what create that connection. And so, yeah, that's why I came to UVA, and that's what's kept me here.
Yeah, and the values, right? To mention that is, you'll have some, but how do you say, some, I guess, like activists or like even enthusiasts of history, and they'll point out, well, you say values, but it was talking about Thomas Jefferson, and then they'll go into, like his history as slave owner, and the university was built for free off slave labor. They're going to all that things as well, right? So I say that because it is beautiful for Black people to be able to find their space and own their space, and to see themselves within the authenticness of the values, right? Even though they may have been administered by like a fallible people, because we all are, like, none of us are perfect, but I think a lot of times some folks look at UVA, some have that lens of saying, I'm Black at UVA, and I don't think that really meshes. So I guess I'm kind of asking you too, is like once you even got here, you said you hadn't even heard of, but once you got here and you really learned about, wow, like, okay, so this is what the community went through, this is how the university started. How did you kind of come to grips or like internalize like that understanding of being a Black student once you learned the history of the university?
Yeah, I'll speak to my like kind of individual experience. Those Jeffersonian values mean a lot to me. I mean, I didn't even know they meant a lot to me before I came to UVA. They meant even more to me once I got here, and I was able to understand the amazing, history of this university. And so, for me, that journey was the same kind of journey that you take in the classroom. You learn more, you hear a lot of different perspectives. And I think the key is hearing and learning a lot of different perspectives, and having that openness to hear the range and the spectrum of different ideas. That's what I love about UVA, because I've been able to do that. And so as far as like my personal journey, it has always been one where I sit, I listen, I really build relationships with people and understand nuance. And so, and then at the same time are holding those Jeffersonian values core to, how I move through this space. I think that's really, that has been the process, or what has allowed me to gain so much here at UVA. And that's what I hope for all students to have the opportunity to do. And so I would definitely say, and that's the approach I'm going to bring to the board. It's something that I've learned from being here and practiced over and over again.
Mm-hmm. The question for you too, in regards, I want to put a bookmark there, right? But I believe it's Lisa Kopelnick. Like said,
Yeah.
So she's your predecessor.
Yes, Lisa's awesome
in that position. So so I was gonna ask you about that, about like what she may have shared to you, whatever you can disclose as far as the pros and cons of this role as a student. Because because again, like I can imagine a lot of fingers get pointed at you, a lot of students upset with you saying you're supposed to be speaking up for us. Right? Like, so what can you share about the pros and cons, maybe that Lisa or that you're already preparing for, of just maybe some backlash that you may get from your classmates?
Yeah, first of all, shout out to Lisa. She's been amazing. She's been so helpful in helping me learn more about how to effectively do this role and what all it entails. And I think the biggest thing she shared with me is it's just a very demanding role, like at the basic level. So Lisa and I are actually in the same major program, politics major program, and Lisa's writing her thesis. I'm starting to work on my thesis. You're still a full-time student.
Yeah.
But now there's like all these other range of responsibilities on top of that, and you take it on willingly. But it's a experiment over time, learning how to manage and mesh it all. And it's definitely not impossible. It's definitely been done. So a lot of what she's been sharing with me is how to effectively manage time, how to deal with the many things that could come up in any one day and still make sure you have time for yourself and to get your academics done. So it's been a lot about like the logistics of the role itself, because that's not necessarily like something that you could just glean without having talked to somebody who's had that experience. And then I think the biggest thing is for me, I'm always going to say, I'm a student too, and you're my fellow student, and I'm always going to hear you out. And I think that goes a long way with trust. And I think that's the kind of trusting relationships that we need across the board, including between students and the board. We may have there may be different perspectives. People may disagree, but I'm going to hear you out. I'm really going to hear you out. And at the end of the day, I want you to know, this is what I want students to know. I'm really going to not only hear you out, but I want to be your advocate. And part of that is listening. And part of that is presenting and representing to the board the range of different opinions that students have on any one thing. And I think that's what the job calls for. And that's what I intend to do in that kind of like situation that you describe. But at the end of the day, it's like it's very personal. I'm a fellow student. And so it's like, I'm seeing you in the dining hall, I'm seeing you in class. We can't be mad at each other forever. Let's just talk.
Right. That's real. Then what about the vote? Like the voting process of it. Like, does a student have equal vote, or how does that part work? When something comes up to the board to be voted on.
Yeah, the student member doesn't have a vote on the board. Neither does the faculty.
Okay.
So it's only the state appointees who have a vote by state law.
Okay.
But I think the key thing to know is that the board really does listen to the student's voice in the form of the student member. The board really does lean in and listen to the concerns of the student body, because ultimately that's who we're all. This is what we're all there to advance the student experience and make sure that students are having just honestly a fun time at UVA. And so to me, that kind of like advisory role, if you could call it, even though a student may not have a vote at the end of the day, the student member is really listened to. And so that creates a responsibility on the student member to really share what students think honestly. And I think it creates a good bit of, it creates an honesty and it creates an open conversation that really advances the university. So I don't want to focus too much on the voting power, because as far as like working together and the kind of collaboration that the student member position being on the board elicits, it is really quite like it really it's valuable to the board's work, and it's not something that exists in a lot of other states.
Okay.
It's not something that exists in a lot of other states. Virginia is very unique in that sense.
Okay. And
Gotcha.
these meetings, Board of Visitor meetings, they are public meetings?
Yes, they are all public meetings, and they are live streamed. I really encourage, I always encourage students to read the minutes, read about the agenda, look at the live stream, and really get into what's going on, because your voice does matter. Your voice really does matter. And I'll encourage everybody, this is a public board and it's meant to represent a state university and make decisions regarding state university. We are all part of this commonwealth, and we are all part of finding ways to find common ground that moves us forward. And so we need you a part of that. I know for my job, I can be a whole lot more effective when I'm walking with, and I have partners and other students and community members who are helping me along the way. So that's what I ask.
Yeah. Gotcha.
Then are you responsible for reporting back to the student body what's the happenings with the Board of Visitors?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I'll be releasing a newsletter.
Okay.
I'll have several opportunities for office hours for students and attending all kind of events and organization meetings in order to really hear and always be available to students for what are their concerns. And that's the part of the role I think I will enjoy it the most, because that is just it's just so valuable for me to see that somebody feels like their voice is being heard, even at the highest level of university's decision making.
Yeah. And one more question, Charles, before you hop in. And then, geez, did I lose the question? Did I lose the question? I guess I did.
No worries.
It's all good. I'll buy some time. For you.
So current issues that
Yes.
that the student body may have already raised that you'll be addressing with the board.
Yeah. So,
any of those?
yeah, I'll be happy to bit. So I have kind of 4 priorities going into this 1-year term, which is served June 1 to May 31st. So I officially started on June 1st. And it's a short amount of time. It's a short amount of time, and there are so many issues that face university, and you definitely get to engage all of them in different ways and different extents at each meeting and in between.
Yeah.
But
how many terms can you get?
Students typically serve 1 because you can only serve in a role in your last year at the university.
Oh, okay.
So 4 priorities. The first priority is that connection I'm speaking about. Strengthening those connections and focusing on what makes UVA, which is the strength of our community, the UVA community and the surrounding Charlottesville community, and that connection. That's number 1. Number 2 is focusing on student self-governance. That term is kind of hard to understand sometimes, even for me. But it really just means students' ability to have a say in their education and shape their education. And that's really important. We have all these really cool ways at UVA that we do that don't exist elsewhere. Our honor committee, our university judiciary committee that runs student discipline, our student council. There's all these different ways in which students can get involved. And it's about strengthening that. And really strengthening that foundation, which helps us be the community we are. The third priority is affordability.
Okay.
I think this is something that matters to all of us, citizens of Virginia and beyond. Making sure that UVA is an affordable place for all people to attend, for all of us in the Commonwealth of Virginia. That is crucial. And it's something that the board will probably be taking a good look at. And it's something, speaking for myself, something that I personally care a lot about. And I know a lot of students and their families care about. And so that's one. And then the last thing I like to call emerging opportunities. So this is really cool stuff because this is thinking about artificial intelligence, or name, image, and likeness, NIL, which was related to NCAA sports, or even biotechnology and opportunities to make significant advances in research and entrepreneurship related to biotechnology. The world is changing really quickly in each of these areas and even more, and figuring out like what's the role of UVA university and how do we adapt to these changes, even just with AI.
Yeah.
I mean, every day there's something new, and understanding how you incorporate that and really focusing that on students and how students are interacting. I feel like can help us definitely chart a way through things that are evolving so quickly. But it's like it's an exciting time to it's definitely an exciting time to like shape the future of our great university and Charlottesville as a whole over the next 5, 10, 20 years. And these are just some of the priorities that I have in order to contribute to that in a positive way.
Yeah. People are either going to go left or right when you start talking AI.
No.
I mean, it's here, but some people are a little slow to get on board.
Yeah, I mean, it's about bringing it back to individual student experience. I mean, we don't have to get into the weeds. So I'm not I don't know any of the computer science or like a lot of the background on it. I'm a politics major, but it's really about like allowing people to express their own individual experiences, and we all have different stories. So bubbling those things up and letting that inform how we move forward. I think we're poised for some really cool things coming forward.
Yeah, good stuff. We are joined by none other than Gregory Perryman, the newly appointed, as of June 1st, student rep on the University of Virginia Board of Visitors. So, Gregory, I gotta do it to you. Can I bust your bubble real quick? Like, can I bring you back down to earth?
Absolutely. Right. You gotta be excited talking about emerging issues.
If you would allow me to for a second. So, keep in mind that the news, and I get that the way the university is seen on the outside is going to be different than inside. And don't get me wrong, it is highly commendable, and it is a huge, success to be accepted to the University of Virginia. It's one of the top public universities right in the country, if not the world. We get that, but when you look at the community that it is in, UVA doesn't have the best name, right? For as great academically as it is, whether we're talking about the decisions that gets made on how much land it gets within the city, like those kind of things. That people saying, look at that endowment that they have, like they could be contributing, to the community, right? You have thoughts like that. Even if we drill down to the students, right? In the news, it would appear that like student voices, right? Student governance is one that people would look at most of their like liberal arts universities and be like, yeah, like your 18 to 22 years, right? As a student is generally the time where you do find yourself, where you like are very vocal. You like you even get into activism, like you have strong opinions on the world situations. But juxtaposed to that, the public perception of university board is that it's highly conservative. It was appointed by a highly conservative governor. So, like, how do you balance that, right? And maybe correct me if I'm wrong, but if you have a very like conservative sort of mindset on how we're going to manage this university, but you have students who are young and they're vibrant, right? And they're like, no, like this, like, hear me, hear my voice. I want to protest. But then you have some calls saying, shut the protest down. Anything that's race-based, we're not allowing anymore. Anything that's opposite sexual orientation than the standard, we're not doing that anymore. You know what I mean? So, like, so what's your thoughts about that balance, right? Of the conservative voice versus maybe the youthful, exuberant, even liberal, progressive, shall we say? Right?
Yeah, no, that's a great question. I guess really how I think about it is I really reject the idea that we don't have any commonalities or common ground or shared beliefs or even the ability to find compromises and ways forward when there's disagreement. I really reject that because otherwise, I mean, what's the point? What's the point of all, contributing and loving this place if we're not going to work together through disagreement and really allow voices to and allow other voices to be heard. That can be across the political spectrum. So I really reject the idea, and I think if you bring it back to the individual student experience, I've had the opportunity to make friendships, like some of the best friendships, and really have engaging conversations with people of all political beliefs at UVA. Students, we are doing that. We are having civil discourse and really having that kind of free exchange every single day in our classes as we walk around, and we're doing it at a level of like, this is my friend. And we have diverging views, but we have really been able to have those conversations, I believe. And there's always things you can do to improve. And there's always more spaces and kind of like capability to do that thing that can be facilitated. But from my personal experience, I have really had the opportunity to do that at UVA. And to me, it's kind of bringing that to the broader university, bringing that student experience of civil discourse to how the entire university governance operates, which is what I care about highlighting. And so I think that if we are able to kind of have a broader conversation in the way that students have been having conversations, even just one-on-one, then we will be in that place where we can find that common ground.
Yeah.
So I'll just say, like, when emotions are high, when tensions are high, when people are disagreeing fundamentally, I'm always about bringing that temperature down and finding and having a conversation, just like I do with my friends, just like I do with strangers I meet in day-to-day who become friends. It's really about bringing that temperature down and saying, let's have a broader conversation. Let's look for the areas where we have that common ground. And it starts at the individual level, which is what I'm saying. And the students are already doing it. And I hope during my time on the board, I had the opportunity to bring that kind of way of being, that ethic of civil discourse to the board and to promote it within the broader university community. I really truly believe that. And ultimately, that's what's going to make us the best, public university in the United States by 2030. That's what it takes. And I also say, just to the pieces about the community's perception, that's what I've always tried to do as a member of not just the UVA community, but Charlottesville as a whole. I've always believed that students should be consistent, should be empathetic, should be focused on listening to our neighbors in the Charlottesville community, at the fundamental level. That is something I've always tried to do personally, and that is something I always, individually try to encourage my fellow students to do. I think that's the only thing we can do. So I really do hope that over this next year, have another year at UVA. I'll be really sad to see Charlottesville go. If I move away, but I might stay. I never know. But what I love and the kind of legacy or impact I want to leave here is that, especially when it comes to students' connection to the community, it's important to be consistent, to be honest, and to focus on building empathetic relationships. That's what I believe can bridge those divides.
Yeah. And I have to ask you directly too, though, with the whole DEI initiatives being banned, is that a student conversation right now? Are students concerned with anything that reflects diversity, equity, and inclusion? Regardless of which your demographic is. Is that something that students are concerned with?
Oh yeah, I think there's a ton of conversations going on grounds currently, and if everybody is still talking and everybody hasn't decided to go to their own corners and just be upset, I think that we're going in a good direction.
Okay.
As long as everybody is still talking about their individual opinions and experiences. Mm-hmm. So I think we're in that place. So I'm optimistic.
Okay. Stuff. Mm-hmm. Thank you. Yes, indeed.
Mm-hmm.
It's so nice to talk to you. It's so nice to talk to you, bro.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Likewise. I don't know if you have anything else in mind, Ms. Max, but we did have I know at least one other question from a listener, Gregory.
Awesome.
Which is the student member present at closed sessions as well?
Yes, the student member is present in closed sessions, and in that sense, they really get to be a full member of the board, which I think is so valuable.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Gotcha. Cool.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think that for the most part, and I could be wrong, as in my humble opinion, that, the citizens of Charlottesville, especially, I'm going to say our Black and Brown community, I don't know that they're looking for empathy as much as they are looking for the university to just do the right thing. If you can provide a resource, if you can, all things aside, we can make arguments as to why they should be doing the right thing all day long. But all of that aside, at the end of the day, we're all human beings. We're all coexisting. So just do what's right by your community. And don't feel sorry for me. Just do what's right.
I thank you for sharing that. True.
Yeah.
Yes, indeed. Yes, indeed. Because I always remind people, Gregory, that there are public state institutions that actually pay taxes in their jurisdiction. I ain't gonna get you in trouble. But people be like, "Oh, but it's a school; they don't have to pay taxes." But I'm like, there are examples, like Massachusetts for one. They actually pay because they see how much it can financially empower the local jurisdiction that they're a part of. So
I'm learning more and more every day.
So if y'all want public comment, you can give me a holler.
That's right. No, but I'm learning more and more every day, and that's what I'm about. And I'm thankful for y'all for sharing those perspectives and the facts as well.
Yes, indeed. Appreciate you, man. Continued success. But but any final words, closing words from yourself, just in regard to this new endeavor, and you are a part of this community, not just the grounds at UVA. But you are out and about in Charlottesville as well, so people may see you around. But just any closing words to the listening audience?
Yeah, shout out to, in my humble opinion, radio show. I love the show. Thank you to all of the listeners.
Yeah.
I think the biggest thing I want listeners to know is that I'm so grateful to have been welcomed and arms wide open by this community in so many ways, by so many individual people.
Yeah.
My time here has been, I can't even measure how much the Charlottesville community and opportunities to be involved with the community has shaped my time here. Truly, I can't imagine how different my time here would have been. And even as I've taken on new roles, and that's something that I hold close to my heart, and I'm so thankful for.
Yeah, appreciate that. Very well said. Thank you for joining us, man. And please keep us posted.
Absolutely.
Things that's going on. However we can be a voice and a platform, for this communication that you're saying that needs to stay open. Please let us be part of it.
Yes, and thank you for having me.
Go forth and disrupt.
That's right. You said civil discourse, right?
Civil discourse. Yeah. That's right.
But John Lewis said, "Good trouble." Sometimes we need good trouble. Yeah.
Thank you so much.
Yeah.